Binge the full week ad-free over at patreon.com/inspired disorder.
What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.
Maps to the Stars is a movie directed by David Cronenberg. Came out back in 2014, 2015. Anyway, it is on Netflix. I've been on a Cronenberg kick this week and, didn't really know which of his films to review. But this one ended up on the list. This is one that I watched specifically to review. So while a lot of the other movies of his, I tended to get distracted because they tend to be a bit of a slow burn. This one I was into the 100%. Basically it's Cronenberg kind of talking a lot of shit about Hollywood in some ways. It's showing the price of fame anyway, the price that some families are willing to pay, how they're willing to sacrifice themselves and their families, just mental health in order to become famous. It's a very interesting film. A lot of people in it. Movie I've never heard of, but it's starring Julianne Moore. It's got John Cusack. It's got Robert Pattinson is in it. I mean, it's got a lot of heavy hitters. There's some people that I've never seen or never heard of either, but some great actors. But the core of this film is this Hollywood family where the son of the family is like this child star. He's part of this extremely popular franchise of films. So he's bringing in all the money. The mom is just constantly stressed out all the time. I think she's kind of the manager of the family, it seems like, but constantly just smoking cigarettes. Dad is John Cusack, who's kind of like this therapist, kind of new agey therapist kind of a guy who works with Julianne Moore's character, who's an actress. But John Cusack's like this, kind of, it's kind of this weird, like, spiritual therapy kind of a guy who's wrote a book or whatever that's supposed to be, kind of his claim to fame, despite his son clearly being the breadwinner of the family. And then you have the daughter, which is not part of the family anymore, and you don't really find out that this family even had a daughter until later, when you find out that daughter is actually this girl that shows up in town from Florida, kind of this bright-eyed girl from Florida, getting a ride from Robert Pattinson, who's a limo driver, and this girl played by, I believe, Mia Wasikowska. Wasikowska. Man, I'm sorry. But anyway, she shows up and she's got like these burns, and there's this story that she was caught in a fire and she went into a storage closet by accident, and that's why she got burned up. That's her story. And then you kind of find out a little bit about her and her family, even though you don't know that her family is, John Cusack and that child star. You don't know that she's the daughter of that family yet. And, she wants to be part of, she has ideas for movies in LA. She wants to act, obviously anybody that's traveling across the country to live in LA is usually going there to become a star in some way. So it's got her, getting driven by this limo driver guy or whatever, and she's talking to him. They go out to lunch or whatever, and she's saying she's got this idea that's based on her parents, where the parents are incestuous, their brother and sister. And then you find out also that the daughter, the reason why she was away is that she drugged her brother, who's the child star, drugged him, and that they had like this thing you find out from conversations this kid's having through different things, because everybody in this, there's like a supernatural element that's sprinkled throughout because everybody's so traumatized. Like Julianne Moore keeps visualizing her mom, who was this big actress and, popular actress, but died when she was young, died in a fire when she was young. And Julianne Moore, in some ways, is trying to live up to that reputation, but is haunted by her image. Like, she keeps seeing Her mom keeps showing up, but then like also the child star keeps seeing this girl that he went to go visit in a hospital with cancer, and she ended up dying. So it's a lot of people are starting to were within this story are starting to see ghosts, quote unquote. They're starting to visualize have these hauntings happen to them of people that were kind of related in some way, or maybe they feel guilty for their death in some way. But then like the characters themselves, like the this child star kid, he's talking about this time when his sister got taken away, that like they used to play this game where they would get married to each other, and there was this one time where they were going to get married to each other in the backyard, and she fed him all these quote unquote vitamins that were like sleeping pills or whatever. And the next thing he knows, he's in a hospital, getting his stomach pumped, and his his sister disappears. She's gone for like the next 10 years or whatever until she comes back to Hollywood. So that's what this movie is. So there's a lot of layers. You know, the movie is tackling in a lot of ways grief and like guilt and, you know, a lot of heavy emotions to it, which I think is a tough thing to balance when there's so many different characters all kind of going through these different emotional kind of issues. The fact that like the fact that this family, this Hollywood family, like there's this like this thing where it's mentioned of the incest, the fact that the parents, like you never really find out if the parents are brother and sister, although they do kind of look like brother and sister, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're brother and sister. I've known a lot of people who date and or marry people that look like they could be their siblings. So the fact that they look similar, but it's, you know, it would kind of make sense if there was a family secret that the parents of this like kind of Hollywood family are brother and sister, that would also fuck up the kids and would, I mean, there's like level of trauma in this family that doesn't ever get dealt with. Like you see it manifest itself in all of these things. Like the child star has a huge drug problem. He's already been in rehab. You see that, you know, Julianne Moore's character is like this. She's like this aged out actress who never really got her star power and is always living in the shadow of her mom and is, you know, addicted to drugs like everybody else in everywhere is, you know, addicted to pharmaceuticals. So it's got a lot of layers to it. And then you have the supernatural layer to it. Overall, I thought the movie was good. I thought, you know, you kind of get to know all the different characters. You get to see how they're all related to each other. And, you know, I think the way it ends is a fitting ending. There is aspects to this I did not like. The fact that it is a Cronenberg film, and Cronenberg is so known for his practical effects, and the fact that fire is such an integral part to this story in so many ways. It's the thing that, you know, the daughter, after drugging her brother, lit the house on fire and has all these scars. Julianne Moore's mother died in a fire. There's a scene where a character is lit on fire, and it is the worst CG. I mean, it's clearly they didn't have the budget for it, but like you do so many practical effects in all of your films. Like you think you could hire a stunt person to get lit on fire, and there's a pool. I mean, the scene takes place where the person, first off, is lit on fire standing right next to a pool. If I'm a person and I burst into flames, I think I might notice there's a giant body of water right next to me that I could literally fall into. But not only does that person on fire not fall into or go into the water, John Cusack comes up and he sees the person's on fire, and it takes him a while before he pushes them into the pool to kind of extinguish them. But I think at that point it was already too late. But the fire effects in general were not good. I did not like them. It just looked really bad CG, just really bad CG. And it's like I don't understand. I would imagine whatever it costs to do that CG, like they could have hired a stunt person to just get lit on fire and then get pushed into a pool. Like that sequence could have been done and looked exponentially better if they just use practical effects, which Cronenberg is known for his practical effects. It didn't make any sense. There's another scene where a character is beaten with a trophy that has a little bit of the Cronenberg effects in it. It's definitely practical effects, at least it seemed like it. And like Cronenberg, he wants to show the damage. He likes to show the damage. And that I enjoyed that scene. That scene made me, aside from the fact that it's kind of slowly paced, it definitely had that Cronenberg feel to it. But overall, I enjoyed the movie. I thought it was an interesting look at a lot of damaged people in a very damaged place, kind of seeking fame, which is, I think, a damaged person's life goal. Like if your goal in life is to be famous, right? Like just this ambiguous thing to just be a popular person with a lot of money, there's something wrong with you. Like, you don't want to create anything. You don't want to do anything with your life. You just want to be adored for no reason. You want to be like a Kardashian and just have a bunch of money for just being a famous person and people listening to you for no reason other than you're just a popular. You have nothing to offer the world except for popularity, which is disgusting. But yeah, I really kind of enjoyed this movie. Robert Pattinson's kind of like a side character in it, but I just overall I enjoyed the movie. I thought it was interesting. Julianne Moore, as always, gives a great performance, and just kind of like that weird Cronenberg kind of feel. I mean, it definitely shows the kind of shows how realistically degenerate so many people are behind the curtains. Like, everybody's got this facade of being put together and being like, straight-laced and whatever, where behind the scenes, I think a lot of people have a lot of buried degeneration and want to get wild with things that just aren't socially acceptable. And I think Cronenberg's films tend to open the lens to those alternative ways of being in this reality. Anyway, Maps to the Stars. It's on Netflix. Watch it. Check it out. I think I'm becoming a Cronenberg fan. Get yourself some amazing coffee from our sponsor, stationhousecoffee.com, and follow Station House Coffee on Instagram. It's a place where you get small batch, single origin, premium coffee brewed specifically for you out in Thetford Center, Vermont, and shipped directly to you. Go to stationhousecoffee.com, order your coffee today, and follow Station House Coffee on Instagram. New episodes of The Ray Taylor Show come out every single day. Subscribe on IGTV, YouTube, and everywhere else podcasts are found. Binge the full week ad-free over at patreon.com/Inspired Disorder. Buy Ray Taylor Show merch over at inspireddisorder.com, and follow the show on Instagram at Ray Taylor Show. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace out!